The history of my life in music began when I was 4 years old. Um, my grandmother took me there to the conservatory, convinced the teachers to teach me. My family was very curious. Uh, 4 years old. I mean, so by the time I was 5, my grandfather bought me a piano, but it was a real piano. So they were just discovering my world in music the same way that me as a child was discovering this. So by the time I was 10, 11, 12, in fact, my first recital, and I think that it has to do with the fact that I did that recital at 5 years old, I play a piece called In May. And I think that they got so involved emotionally that that's when my grandfather bought the piano. So by the time I am 9, 10, 11, I'm already learning all these big literature of, of pianistic techniques and piano repertoire. And by the time I was 13, I started entering competitions as a pianist. So I won 3 competitions. And after that, I graduated and then I came to the United States. And that's why I said I arrived here as a pianist. The fact that I became a composer and a conductor had to do with a big surprise that was awaiting me in New York upon my arrival. And that surprise is the Dance Theater of Harlem. Um, I met Arthur Mitchell out of this was something that happens sometimes. It's like fate or serendipity. I have no idea. But I was at NYU validating my degree and registered at NYU as a pianist. I had to learn to speak English. And this is within the year of my arrival. A friend of mine, Laura Wilson, pianist also, a colleague in the school, she was playing for a dance company. A dance company, no, a dance school. And she became ill that week. And she said, "Look, I don't want to lose this job. Could you go and replace me?" I said, "Okay." She gave me the book. I mean, it was a book where you play, you know, in 4/4 or 3/4, different things that had to do with the beat or the pulses of the dance. And I figured it out. I said, "Okay, I'll do it for you." It was the first time I took a train to Harlem. It was my first visit to Harlem. I took a train to 145th and St. Nicholas. I had to go to a church there called a School of the Arts. I mean, I don't recall the name of the church very well, but the person that was in charge there was Dorothy Maynor. I didn't know that Dorothy Maynor was a very famous soprano, and this is the person that welcomed me into the school. Are the Church of the Masters. I mean, right there, I think it's 141 and San Nicolas in New York. Well, I went there and she explained to me where was the studio that I had to play. I sat in the studio. I started playing for this lady, I mean, Meta Spagnardi, the dance teacher, ballet teacher. She didn't speak English. I didn't speak English either. It was very interesting. And she was from Europe, around Czechoslovakia or something. I mean, I was coming from Cuba. So we just smile a lot to each other. She did a lot of, I mean, do this, do that, you know. And that's how I follow what I had to do. So I played for her and the class went very well. But this whole thing had to last the entire day. In between these classes, there was a gap of time for me to rest, and that was the schedule. Of course, I mean this was a baby grand piano. That was my chance to really, I didn't have a piano, so therefore, I mean, I just went out and play and play and play and play. In one of those instances, there's a gentleman that crossed the room, and I saw him go by in the mirror. he had a spectacular look. He looked like somebody that came out of a movie or something like that. And I said to myself, who is this person? You know? What? It was like that. I couldn't ask. I didn't speak English. So therefore, I continued playing the classes and things like that. And in another of these instances, which I am playing the piano again, the gentleman comes back. But rather than continuing to the other door, he came to me and he smiled, big smile, ear to ear. And in a little bit, because I taught him I didn't speak English, a little bit of Spanish, a little bit of Italian. He told me that if I would like to play the piano for him because he was going to have some lessons that he was going to impart. I gave him my telephone number, and within 2 weeks, I got this call to go to the very same place, and the rest is history. Because the person I was talking to was Arthur Mitchell, and that was the very first initiation of the Dance Theater of Harlem.